Welcome back over to the North American LCS. I am still David Freak Chili, and getting cozy alongside me for our next series is Sam, Kobe, Hartman, Kensler.
Always cozy.
Always cozy. Yeah, you and me.
Big teddy bear.
We fit together nicely. Now, our next matchup is going to be Immortals versus TSM. It's going to be a fun one. Immortals finally did get a much-needed win because back in Week 6, they lost to both the bottom teams in the LCS. Then they got a good win over FlyQuest yesterday.
Plus, it was a good-looking win.
Yeah.
It was much needed, timely, but also some improvements, which they definitely needed. I mean, Olay, he was great. He almost went legendary as a support.
Yeah.
In one of their games, and the bot lane, just in general, has been improving for them. Now, one thing is that Dardoch is still a bit hit or miss. He didn't negatively, take away with a lot of, trying super hard. Maybe reaching extra far is something that we've criticized before.
Absolutely.
Sometimes, feeling an extra weight to carry. So maybe a little bit more relaxed there, and it could signal some overall improvements for the entire team and not just that area. Now, it is also important to put into context that was against FlyQuest that we're struggling right now. Even though FlyQuest, high up in the standings, recently they have been struggling a bit. So it's definitely not safe to say that Immortals are out of the woods yet, especially considering that they're now going against TSM, who are looking to tie Cloud9 again and reclaim that #1 spot.
Absolutely. So we're going to see if that's going to happen. Of course, we will see if the improvements can stack up against, as you mentioned, TSM, who are looking stronger overall towards the end of the split. They look like a great team right now, but they did slip up a bit yesterday against Envy.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, TSM, they came into yesterday's game saying that we are not going to underestimate Envy. We're not going to take this game lightly. Then in the interview after, that game 1 loss, Balfresh is like, yeah, we definitely were a bit aggressive there, overestimated.
Take the game lightly.
Yeah, exactly. Specifically, though, a lot of Svenskaren's ganks, especially in that first one, have become very predictable. And jungle is the main role you do not want to become predictable in. Lyra did a very good job counter jungling, counter ganking. And it's actually, a lot of people have keyed into this with TSM. They play a lot around that top side of the map with the 2 solo laners.
Yeah.
And that may be due to, yes, it's great. Hanser is stepping up as the shot caller for the team. But, if your 2 shot callers are Bjergsen and Hanser, that might monopolize the jungler's time. And the bottom side, as you can see with the stats, Turtle and Balfresh are pretty much left to their own devices down there. And it leaves the other teams with a pretty focused idea of where your jungler pressure is going to be.
And we'll see if Dardoch can counteract that. But now let's get ourselves to the starting lineups for both these teams. On the blue side for game 1 is Immortals. Flame in the top lane, maybe getting camped by Svenskeren. Dardoch in the jungle going to hope to counteract that. Pawelter in mid, Cody Sun in bot lane with Ole, and their coach Hermes, as the Immortals are doing better towards the end here, maybe.
Definitely true. Up against them on the red side, though, will be TSM. Up top is Hanser in the jungle. Svenskeren, mid Bjergsen, bottom Wild Turtle, support Balfrost, and Coach Parth on stage.
It's going to be a fun one. All 10 players are ready to go, so Champs Like will begin very shortly here.
Start it. Let's go, Freak.
I'm going to say 8 seconds to go. 7, 6, you can count. We'll see if the graphic comes up in time. I might just be wrong. Either way, though, I think it's going to be a fun one because I'm excited to keep seeing Hanser play. I was cashed at the same time as the NV-TSM series, so I didn't get to watch it live, but I know in Week 6, Hanser looked incredible. He looked like he maybe was the best top laner in the league, and now he's up against Flame, who's been somewhat hit or miss, but with all the effort that TSM is giving Hanser, he might just break this game up by himself.
Yeah, especially with, the slugfest that we've seen on both streams so far today. Definitely ready for some fireworks. Starting out, though, let's go over, because I talked about a little bit about the meta changing there in the interview with Smithy afterwards, but the bans, even though a lot of the old bans kind of have dropped away, they've been filtering down into some more predictable ones, although not always required by red side. The Varus and LeBlanc have been sitting over there. And then you jump into the things like Malzahar, super high priority because of flexibility. Camille is still very good if there's a top laner you're scared about playing, carry top laners and running you down. Even after her nerfs, she's still a very formidable top laner. There she goes. She's off the list as well, but it has really filtered down into some sort of predictable ones until you get the teams that'll bring out these flex picks like the crazy Jace AD carry or the FlyQuest style bottom lane.
Mordecai.
Yeah, exactly.
Jace is going to be dropped off the table, so a lot of high-tier bans dropped away on both sides. Lulu, of course, famously still available. That's going to be the pickup.
Yeah, Lulu, extremely high priority, especially since Malzahar is also banned and it's one of the other high-tier supports. Basically, what I would see, though, if we see an early Lulu pick, is almost always answered with Karma, and it wouldn't be really much surprise there. You know, both bring fairly similar things. It's just that people are really favoring Lulu right now because of the extra offensive steroids she's giving you, right? You know, with the AD carries switching more towards back to the exactly. The auto attackers are coming back in. The attack speed buff that Lulu grants you rises in value.
So Drawdock thinks that Rengar is going to be the king of the jungle here in this one, but it gives TSM priority on both Shen and Lulu. And with Graves available, kind of strange to trade these away, but apparently they're happy with that because you can get the Karma back, as you mentioned, and also Rumble into the Shen.
Definitely. No surprises here. Rumble definitely strong into Shen, can definitely bully him. We'll see how they're able to round this one out with some more hard CC. I always like to see Rumble paired with, you know, something that can hold you in place on top of the barbecue. And right now, it would have to be an empowered Bola, which is super rare and hard to hit. So maybe they lock in a little bit more CC from the bottom side of the map, go a little bit more of the old school.
This comp definitely fits a Jhin. And actually, speaking of old school, Kha'Zix's coming in over Graves for Svenskar and wants that assassination potential.
Yeah, or even an Ashe, right? With Varus already banned out, TSM might want to pinch the AD carry pool further to ban out the things that you're looking for with those long-range initiations and those, you know, crowd control from bot lane options to try and pinch the composition. But it looks like they're going back to the Assassins mid here, ban out the Talon. Pobelter did play Katarina mid yesterday and had a lot of success.
0 deaths.
I wonder if they followed up with another, you know, Pobelter-focused mid lane assassin, but I did not expect that one. I definitely was looking more at, you know, team comp-wise as far as CC that Immortals might be looking to add. Mid lane is definitely one where they could bring that as well.
Absolutely, we'll see what happens here. Already banned up the table. Both teams aiming at mid lane bans, so keep in mind, of course, if it permits, TSM have dibs on what to grab first here. Both teams need a bot laner and a mid laner. Same 2 roles available for both squads. We know where everyone else is going right now.
Yeah. And it does look to me like TSM want to be more of a proactive, aggressive composition because the tier list, I would drop down and go right for Graves if I was just looking at junglers isolated. But with the Lulu, with the Shen, you know, Kha'Zix offers more offensive uses of those supportive type champions. And looks like they might want to go more aggressive with the overall direction this time around. Let's see what Immortals round out their last ban with. They're taking the entire timer here for this one. We do discuss it.
And it's going to be Syndra. So 4 mid lane bans coming through as this one concludes the ban phase 2. And Ezreal, with no bot lane bans at all, just going to be picked up easily. And it leaves all the utility up for the bot lane of Immortals.
Extra mobility for Wild Turtle is always a good thing in my book. Ezreal right now is also just incredibly powerful. As soon as you start spiking in the mid game, scales pretty nicely. On the other side, though, talking about scaling, Caitlyn's doesn't really spike in mid. It really just continues to exponentially ramp up with every extra crit item you add on. So Immortals, do add a little bit of extra sieging and some late game insurance. Orianna all around, great for blind picking.
The he's special, Aurelian Soul hovered right now by Bjergsen.
Funny because everyone always makes fun of TSM and Bjergsen specifically for not being able to deal with Aurelian Soul and all the bugs that pop up when those two are in the same game, but he's not going to go for it and does go with Echo. Man, I have been so impressed. Specifically, it's been mostly Jensen's Echo. Keen had a really good one as well, though, and this mid lane champion is really making a strong resurgence. If played super well with that teleport, you can earn a CS lead on this melee assassin, which is the thing that really separates him from the other melee assassins, where you don't see Fizz very often, right, come into pro play, because he's gonna, it's more difficult for him to get that control of minion waves early. But Echo with the long range time winder, with the Q spam, and the teleport that he brings, you can actually get CS leads that we've seen from Jensen and people, and still be a super threatening assassin as far as the backline goes. So see him in action here in Bjergsen's hands and see what he can get off.
He's got a lot of tools available and no tanks like we had with Darshan's Trundle earlier today to really deal with that in the 1v1. So it's going to be fun. TSM, of course, running double teleport. Immortals not going to be doing that. And in fact, TSM have triple teleport thanks to Shen. Split push going to be powerful for the TSM squad here.
Yeah, split push, basically trying to catch people in between rotations is actually something that both teams could do. You know, anytime you have Rengar like that, it's a possibility. Rumble, one of my favorite things about Rumble, not just the team fighting and we always talk up dragon power of your ultimate. You know, ulting a wave for tempo, for rotation, is extremely useful in that mid game as well, or just forcing people off of a turret.
Yeah, and we talk about good TP flankers in general with like, ooh, the Maokai comes into roots you. It's like, well, you TP in and equalize with the whole team. Like, that's a pretty good team fight tool as well. And so we are ready to go and load into the Rift. TSM have a chance to take first place all for themselves. They can take down Immortals. Immortals themselves had a pretty good showing yesterday. We'll see if that early game can continue. Immortals can actually get into 4th place with a win right now. And we'll see as we get ourselves into game 1. The playoff shuffle still fun and exciting and neck for a lot of these squads to take to the Rift for game 1.
Laughing already because I see the triple rejuve bead from Hanser to try and combat the constant harassment from Flamethrower. It's pretty funny because, you know, Albert, or actually Box, a lot of people call him, was like, this is the greatest thing ever. And he tried to do triple rejuve beat on like every single top laner.
Yeah, but some don't have HP regen like Riven.
Well, he bet me. He literally bet me money that you were going to see it in the LCS. And you know,
well, yeah.
Well, it has been seen. This is actually not even the first time. But
so how much do you owe him?
I think I actually don't even remember.
You have to like sub to his channel or what? Like
it was probably like $5 something.
Okay, so yeah, you'll sub to his channel. There you go. You can spam your box emotes.
Regardless, though, the reason that he is going rejuve bead in this case is to deal with Rumble. Very good matchup into Shen. You're able to push the wave while getting harassment down. On display there from
That
Flame.
harassment?
Yeah, exactly. It is harassment. He's going to cause a fire here in the brush.
Oh, there's
middle
like,
of a river.
Yeah, he was going to, what is it, evaporate the river and dry it up.
Honestly, though, the Raptor invades, which is what's going on over there, is super common now. As we've seen, so many junglers trying to get that extra experience. You just want to squeeze every last drop of experience out of the early jungle that you can. And starting Raptors does help you do that. If you clear all the small ones, there's your level 2. Now your Raptor is isolated, and you can easily clean that one up with the Q. Svenskeren did take a little bit extra damage. Usually I'll see Kha'Zix only get down to you know, half there if they do get proper help from their top laner, and there's no invade kind of harassment there, but it won't be a super big issue for him. So Smite for his red buff,
right.
And could possibly even route up to the top side to go with an early gank onto a Rumble who you know is perma-shoving in this matchup. Of course. And Shen actually, you know, taunt right now is super scary because you want to thin out the minion wave first. But it's a possibility if you're able to first clear out some minions, get your level 2, and get the jungler in position with some, you know, early scuttle crab control to make sure the enemy's not coming. It's a multi-layered process, but those are things that you do want to, you know, keep in mind.
Hanser last thing under turret pretty well. Has only missed 2 minions despite being under turret here. Flame the same on his push power. Looks like an early recall for Svenskeren. Grabs the Krugs and goes back, and it's a more hard farm route for Dardoch.
Yeah, if you are going to go with the Krugs after the red buff, Dardoch is going to try and take advantage of shoving Hanser under lane. See if they actually pull the trigger here, because they have not technically seen Svenskeren, so they don't know exactly if he did go for this mana-less route. Basically, he had to recall because you run out of mana on Kha'Zix if you don't start.
Yeah, I don't think you do red Krugs ever. I think they know exactly that he recalled my bot side.
After you pop over and see they're gone.
Right. I think you know like 100% certainty at a pro level that's the camp he's doing.
Coming up here, we're going to see the early recall from Bjergsen. He actually doesn't have to teleport, but you want to do it to get that tempo advantage. You know, get your minion wave advantage, shove this one in super quick before Pobelter can get back. And that's where what I was talking about, the CS leads that we've been seeing for Echoes, really do balloon from.
Svenskeren maximizing time, lets the red buff last hit the blue. I love optimizations like that. Props to Svenskeren for saving literally 1 second of time for doing that, but I mean, I'm always a fan.
Yes, kite your jungle camps, children.
Yep. And
draw them closer to your next destination.
Yep. Still, thank you, Professor Kobe, for the lesson. Got a good prompt.
It actually is an interesting point. At one point, I was almost going to do a video on Kha'Zix jungling, just because there are a couple nuances with specifically Kha'Zix for each individual camp on, you know, especially starting Talisman and maximizing the health drain.
Yeah.
That you can do but it's become less and less of a factor as time has gone on. Dardoch here, though, trying to clean up some of his Raptors.
Flash
to the
Flash away from the stun, and Svenskeren on the chase flashes in for it, and they get the kill. Look at that dive inside of the TSM jungle. Immortals. Woo!
Woo, yeah, I mean,
or their own jungle, rather.
Technically, Immortals jungle, but TSM were trying to make it their jungle there.
Yeah, I got that one backwards. I for some reason, the wrong person died in my head, and I got confused, but Svenskeren started overstepping on it and dies for it. That's what I was going for.
Yeah, let's take it. I mean, honestly, review it again here, Freak, because this is so aggressive. Yes, both of them are here, but they know that Pobelter's on the way, and they split their targets there. You know, Svenskeren goes super deep, as you said. If maybe Bjergsen was in on that and they both targeted and tried to force him out of the fight.
Oh, jeez. Svenskeren just going to face check on a Dardoch, but looks like he's going to be okay with this one. Can he get it?
Howard.
Dardoch solo kills Svenskeren in his jungle. Didn't even buy any new items, and Dardoch massacring this matchup now.
Good thing that we prepped the top triangle of this game here, Freak, because the solo laners of TSM do, you know, attract a lot of jungler attention, and we're seeing it all turn in Immortals' favor, actually. Very good start here for Dardoch. He is set up for success. Now, a lot of pros I've talked to about the, you know, Bruiser Rengar builds or the Tank Rengar builds, and they are, you know, less flashy, slightly more effective for team fights if you have that HP pool, you know, to try and be the front man. But if you get early leads like this, I want to see a little bit, at least one extra damage item come out before you transition into Bruiser style, because Dardoch right now, huge amount of threat. He'll hit level 6, and those solo lanes you're talking about have to worry about it because, you know, summoners are starting to go down. The teleports are not ready for TSM, even though they do have Haunter to rely upon. One of the other reasons you pick Rumble into that matchup is that he pushes Shen in so heavily and pretty much permanently that you will lose out even if you do stand united somewhere else. You better make it worth it because Rumble will almost certainly have those minions pushing and take a toll on your turret.
So you can get some very serious turret damage with that. And I actually want to ask you a pointed question, though. If you're against Lulu and Shen, is it still worth trying to assassinate, or is it going to be too hard with all the support?
I think for the early game, going a second damage item
still worth
is worth.
Okay.
But so many of the junglers have been transitioning towards full tank builds right after. Maybe the middle ground would be a dead man's plate because you get literally a little bit of extra
That's a
damage.
cop-out.
And the extra speed as well. It's definitely good for snowballing.
Sure, true. Firefrost's not quite going to get rooted. Take some damage from Cody's Sun as they're trading back and forth. Lane lead right now does go to Immortals. Neither lane has had any jungle help, and yet it's the TSM duo who's behind. So Cody's Sun and Ole continue to outperform preseason expectations. They're starting to do pretty well as a duo here.
And although, you know, we're going to highlight Dardoch and working with their advantage on the top side and those solo laners,
Cody's Sun, as I mentioned, the caster curse, he has to flash and heal away. TSM find the duo lead.
That's here.
Cody's Sun probably dead for this one. Jumps in, the shield is in, the Shen's coming as well, and Sven rooted up in place.
Onto the trap.
He's gonna die for it. The equalizer. He's dead though. He is dead though. I don't know why Ole flashed. That was a bit of a mistake, but the chase is in for Flame, pushes back a little bit. Here comes Dardoch, wants another. They know they have Hansu. He's gonna take down Biofrost first, then Immortals. Able to capitalize. It was all a bait. Cody's Sun, the mastermind, sets up the 4-kill trade as Immortals slaughter TSM in the bot lane.
Well, Freak, this game is going extremely quickly in Immortals' favor. I mean, technically you're talking about your caster cursing this Cody's Sun. Maybe it's caster bait, as Cody's Sun is going to end up, you know, going down in the end. But look how much. TSM, they send everybody down here. If you look at the minimap right now, Haunter is in communication. He's like, all right, I'm ready with the teleport. Svenskeren there walking on the trap is going to be the death sentence. But then they have the Rengar who's super fed. And if you look at the mid lane coming down with Dardoch at the moment too, at this point, Turtle opting to try and go a different direction from Biofrost does turn out poorly because didn't keep track of the roam for Delta as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if they had both run towards their own turret, if it would have been possible to try and get away.
They're probably dead, I think.
Probably still. But again, hindsight 2020 as well.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, what matters is Immortals have a ginormous gold lead for only 9 minutes into the game.
And this is 3 games in a row they've done this. Like yesterday, they 2-0'd FlyQuest, and it was like, well, FlyQuest are kind of inting. This is a bit messy, but TSM, this just feels like Immortals are outplaying them.
Yeah, we did couch, yesterday with a little bit of, okay, calm down because they're going up against, another one of the #1 teams tomorrow, and it might not be so good. But you're right, out to a very similar explosive start here for this squad. Again, the only thing here, TSM can kind of rely on. Bjergsen didn't join, so he got an extra few CS there. He does actually have a CS lead, and he has a teleport to work with. So
and now, in the bot lane, looking for a dive. He's here looking for the stun. Cody-san rooted. Biofrost's got to be a bit careful. The karma damage will die to the turret. Wild growth means nothing. And here comes Dardoch. He wants a bit more. A double kill, and Bjergsen's next to the platter. Looking for the ulti, maybe get some damage across on him, or just run away. The flash chase, the E slow is there. Gonna get some damage. Ults the shockwave, but he's still got nowhere to go. He's on the wrong side of this fight. And the kill should go over. Ole not gonna steal it this time. He tried. But with the last hit there, Ole 5 assists, and Dardoch 5 kills and 3 assists is smashing this game open.
Yeah, this one, all right, let's take a look, because you mentioned the teleport's coming in. Cody-san, again, is the man who's the sacrificial lamb here. Dies under turret. However, the tower aggro was almost going to take him out by himself. Dardoch, once again, is on Rengar. Another one of these beautiful reactive Rengar ultimates, which, as Rengar, you're just so happy to see these fights, tower dives break out on the bottom side, and everyone running away with low HP is pretty much the dream. You get to go in there and clean up, and he does, stacking up his Bone Tooth Necklace because multiple people are teleporting into these fights. It's not just bottom laners that are getting killed here, so the snowball is very real.
It really is. They've got an Ocean Drake to add to it. They got first turret gold in the bot lane as well. Immortals have been completely cracking this game apart.
And the next one coming up is Infernal.
Snowballing.
Best one for, continuing that snowball.
And when you've got we'll count Ole, 5 carries in this team right now. They all want the Infernal Drake stacks. Dardoch already at 4 Bone Tooth Necklace stacks as well. And it has some flat AD on it, so it's actually really big early game as well. And I mean, this is a game that's quickly running out of hand.
All right, we at least get one of the middle ground Bruiser Rengar builds. He is going with that Cleaver.
Okay.
So I do like that one, even though it got changed more towards health. Extra cooldown reduction on Rengar is insane because it basically amounts to more attack speed because you get more abilities off, you get more empowered abilities off, you get more auto attack resets off. It's definitely a good multiplier for him.
Sure.
Plus adding the health pool, which is one of actually my favorite stats to stack early as far as effective defenses for those skirmishers. Here comes Ole, snaring him up. Just generally being annoying to the mid laner, seeing as they have switched into their 1-3-1 format in order to really take away any sort of farming opportunities from TSM. This is exactly what you want to see in teams furthering early gold leads.
We'll see if this lead's going to further anyway. It's TSM going to do the best they can to stay alive, but the Immortals, of course, in the driver's seat by quite a bit. 5,000 gold ahead means they can do a lot for a ward kill, and they're going to take away the jungle. Look for the mid lane now. Wild Turtle rooted in a shockwave, and he didn't see that one coming, and still goes down to Pobozer. The snipe not needed. Cody-san, sadly, no extra assist on him. Mid lane still under fire, running out of health.
Man, I mean, full-length bolas don't land too often. People dodge those pretty frequently, yeah.
And he didn't think to flash it. Quick taunt in for Hanser, but doesn't really mean much. He's behind an item against Flame right now. As the pressure continues for Immortals, looking to knock down this turret. Cody-san at least gets some turret damage. This one, not as bot lane focused for Immortals. It's all about the Rengar. Dardoch, 90% KP, half his team's kills. He is a big boy.
Definitely true. And a big boy with a big playing ground. I mean, both of the sides of the jungle will soon be completely open to Immortals. They already have advanced wards on the blue quadrant because that tower went down. Top tower is barely standing still. Mid tower even is below 50%. So if Immortals just keep up the pressure for another couple minutes, and they'll just completely blow open most of Summoner's Rift.
Cody-san playing nice and safe. He doesn't want to risk getting jumped on by a Lulu or something, and gonna let that go. But Flame's getting alone time in the top lane, and well, you can't fire the rock down too quickly, but he's gonna knock this one down all the same. 2 turrets to 0 here, and TSM have very little on the scoreboard to speak of. They've got a long way to go to catch up. Svenskeren will go for some armor pen. He's got the lethality with this rated Dirk here. We'll see what comes up next.
Yeah, it is getting a little quiet for the TSM fans, but they will remember yesterday that they lost game 1 in a very convincing fashion as well. and it is a best of 3 series, so they still have hope in coming back in those. It's actually kind of funny how the organization as a whole has had kind of a long history of losing early games in their best of series, whether it's 3 or 5s even.
Yep.
But regardless, I think Immortals should definitely be celebrating their kind of second half of the splits resurgence.
Sure, absolutely. After week 6, it's been pretty good. It's been uphill for them. Again, that week they lost to both Liquid and Envy was a rough spot, and it felt like it might be the turning point where Immortals, are they the worst team in North America? Are they going to get relegated? They're going to fall all the way down the standings, and then quickly turn that one around with their solid victory over FlyQuest and a very nice lead over TSM. Of course, obviously more league to play still, but it's a lead they should keep playing with here. 7,000 gold lead remains the same, and the question is how much more can they open here? Because you're supposed to be able to take lots of plays, take lots of risks, and break the game apart.
Exactly, and the question not just if, but how. And we talked about it a little bit when you break down the rest of the outer turrets. They've done that. Checkbox on number 1. Now they want to try and move up their ward lines once again. You can see TSM are trying to take advantage of the opportunity right now where they still have defensive vision in place. So there are pockets of vision for TSM to try and work off to get small picks and get back into the game. Immortals' goal is to remove those and then clean up the neutral objectives, which they should be able to take unless TSM really overextend. But TSM are trying to preempt this, maybe, with one of those brush plays we're talking about.
Yeah, looking for it, standing on a controller, hoping for the play right here. Damage on a Flame Dardock, waiting in the wings, and suddenly realizes it's a 1v2, so he's going to run away for this one. The taunt is there, the damage is off, and it's going to be Flame dropping down. TSM find their first kill in 15 minutes or so.
Very good, making the best of a bad situation here for TSM. They know that it's so difficult for them to ever contest this Infernal Drake. Try and make a play on the top side. Use those pockets, and they should be able to get the turret as well, even though Dardock's going in for a defense when it's low.
Does one in. The stun could come out from Bjergsen. Turret's going to fall pretty quickly, but damage on Hansen means they could turn it back around, and they get the 1-for-0. Now they push back towards Dardock, has to cut away from Time Winder, and no extra kill will come in, but the 1-for-1 plus the turret's good for TSM.
It is right now. Currently, Immortals will have control of the map. After that, not quite a lot they can get. Maybe a little bit of damage onto mid. Their next goal then should be to retreat back to that Infernal Drake, though, and secure the extra power there. Here we go, though. 4 members up top, basically, with the Stand United. Dardock recognizes it immediately, so he backs off, and he actually circles around, waiting for the reinforcement. This is the call here is to bring in the duo lane, and they try and defend that turret. Ends up going down anyway, but here they are returning to that prize.
Yep. And the absence of a sneaky play, there's not much. Not a lot TSM can do to stop that, so it's a more permanent advantage is added here for Immortals. A nice Infernal Break for them. And next up is going to be Ocean number 2. Maybe not the most important. They are against some level of poke, but not a ton. Probably a weaker one this game at this point. TSM able to get some of the gold back, and the lead just remains stagnant at 7K. Keeping it at that same mark for 10 minutes is very good for TSM.
Yeah, even though that is a large amount of gold, even still now into the game, that's exactly what you want. You basically want to tread water at this point because it's so risky to try and actually go for aggressive moves and make gains. But trading objectives is really good for them. Like we said, going for opposite side of the map is very good for them.
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, making gains is important, so Immortals going to hope to bulk here and see if they can find much more to do with themselves. They haven't gotten any inroads towards the tier 2 turrets, and those deep wards are non-existent. They don't see inside the TSM jungle very much right now. You'd think they'd play around the Baron area, maybe grab the Rip Herald so that Flame can have an easier time in his one-on-one. Give it to somebody. You might as well grab objectives while you can and get the wards and play for something. But right now, they are, as you mentioned, treading water, and that's kind of not okay if you're Immortals.
Well, so Immortals, right now, they have a lot of power as far as Dardock's roaming and the threat that they have there.
Yeah, but see, while they're treading water, they're actually drowning with the fact that TSM's actually attacking them and the boat's getting rocked.
Opposite side of the map, once again, TSM, they stay proactive, made a jump on it. Immortals, though, should be able to shove up the other 2 lanes. They're actually making a call to condense all their members into the top side. They call Cody's son up as well, and they should be able to get a tower for it. Now, the question is,
nice sweeper.
Will they be able to get more than just a tower? If TSM keep Bjergsen down bottom side, that's another one of the trades that we talked about rather than actually having Immortals make up much on the other side.
So it's 1 for 0 in kills, but it is a top lane tier 2 turret killed off. And the question is, and going to be answered, actually looks like Bjergsen will be able to take down that bot lane turret himself. So if the turret is not worth more gold than the kill was, so it's actually TSM making up even more of the disadvantage. It's now under 7K. And it's a slowly sinking game for Immortals. Still, of course, a big lead for them. It takes a lot more, but as far as quality of play, it's TSM playing better.
All right, going for another one of these State United picks. We talked about looking for the Kha'Zix, more aggressive, you know, going in with those, and does pay off a bit for them. More time for them to farm out, though. Continue taking the mass gainers.
Lots of way, hoping they can get it to happen. But yeah, right now, it's Immortals looking for maybe more to do.
Yeah, and the more things that they have to do, the pack of, you know, vision exploration, basically, missions that they want to do into TSM areas, they want to try and cut off the rotations so that if TSM go for something on the bottom side of the map, you see members in transition walking through their own jungle to that play. That's what those advanced wards will afford you.
You know, let's see if Immortals can do much with this mission pack. They feel like they're getting a bit busy with the side quest, and the main quest is time. And we'll see if they can add any more right here. Looking for the Ocean Drake spawning in 3-ish minutes, and of course the Baron's up. TSM with great defensive wards in their side of the map. They've got so many control wards in their own jungle to make sure those inroads are slow.
Yeah, and it's not like Immortals are feeling panicked by any means. They have a Caitlyn that they're, you know, securing them for the end game. Orianna scales quite well as well.
Yeah.
Just that you would like to cut off a bit more of the income of TSM while you have this control. And especially rely on that threat of Rengar ultimate could catch me anytime I'm not at one of my turrets.
That's fair. So TSM have to play defensively to their credit. They found a couple of those openings. But you're right, Immortals have giant gold bags they can use to break this game open with, and they still have that lead. And we'll see, they're pushing in up in the mid lane. The trap line is there, and this Drake's a minute and a half away. And as they try to take away some of the money, you saw some counter jumping from Dardoch earlier. Dardoch still does hold that 1 level lead over Svenskeren. 2 levels for Pobother versus Bjergsen, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, definitely true.
And the 2 items.
TSM, you know, with Bjergsen, they want to use their double teleports. Basically, this is the advantage that TSM have in this to try and keep Immortals, you know, pathing back and forth between lanes and using up time is poke and prod with your 1-3-1, with your double teleports. It is a tricky game, it's a risky game, but,
sure,
you know, shove the lane, back up quickly, keep them rotating so that they don't go for more of the big objectives. Right now, though, bottom side is where they are focusing.
They finally found the way in. Bot lane tier 2 taking some pretty significant damage. Quick arcane shift keeps Wild Turtle alive, and this turtle's using quite a bit of HP, and it's very close to going down. So Immortals are slowly but surely getting their way into TSM's base. And Bjergsen not making any inroads right now up against Flame, so that's going all right for him. Not a lot of MR on this Rumble, so maybe it's a decent matchup for Bjergsen. Of course, they both have teleport. But there we go, bot lane tier 2 goes down. TSM again have to be respectful of the tower damage, and here we go. The engage comes across the wall, and they're going to look for this damage. Looking to talk down onto Flame. Bjergsen has to flash away, but the flash chase is there, and
Can they pick him up, though? Because here come Immortals, and Dardoch's on the hunt.
They're all here. Hansel rooted up. There's all the damage up, but they could possibly need no way out for the Shen. Couple more shots will do it, and there's the kill picked up. Nicely done. Immortals trade it, and they got bot lane tier 2 already.
Yeah, funneling gold into Caitlyn's definitely good for them. Dardoch lets him have that kill. Cody's son happy to get it. TSM looking to strike back for a Drake, though.
Yeah, Ocean Drake this late in the game for a bot lane tier 2. Probably Immortals favored. The more gain for them, and Drake goes down.
There is a control ward on this Baron, but it's not far enough into the pit to actually cancel that ward. But they've got plenty of damage. It might not matter. Bjergsen could go for a miracle steal, but it might be suicide. He has no ult.
Not gonna happen. Nicely done with Dardoch. Lands the smite, and Immortals have the Baron. They need to start pushing into this game heavily.
Flame teleport, Flame teleport.
Looking for the play. Flame has not TP'd yet. He's gonna walk into the lane. Dardoch gonna look for the chase. Not gonna find it. He flashed in a brush, but had no one to jump to. This is Immortals getting that clean Baron. Looking to push.
Oh, this is going to be huge for Immortals. The Caitlyn is ready to go, at least has the double item power spike.
Yeah.
Baron buff should allow them to clean up a bunch of ground here. And
You're right, Kobe. There was no huge rush in this one. Even though they weren't growing the lead for the last 10 minutes, they finally got the opening they looked for. They got that Baron, and they've cracked this game wide open, 11,000 ahead.
All right, recalls are going to come in to spend all that cash, but I expect them to get right back to the siege game here. Caitlyn, long range, plus the extra shielding from Orion and Karma. I almost don't see a way that Immortals are unable to get an inhibitor turret with this Baron buff siege. It can be done if TSM do some really fancy work wave clearing and stalling out, but Immortals should just make a beeline straight for their inhibitor turret of choice to make the most of this Baron buff and siege that sucker down.
And Flame has teleport, plus the burst damage to TSM, probably not high enough to require Flame to babysit the squad of 4, so looks like the mid lane siege is on.
Yeah, and honestly, as we kind of alluded to before, Rumble, the possibility of using a Rumble ultimate with just the other 4-man stack to run them off a turret is very real. Yeah, you won't exactly have it for the team fight if the other team goes aggressive, but you have such a big gold lead that it might not even matter in that case, and if they really want to force the issue, they could definitely do that. Right now, shoving up bottom as well as mid, and then they either have the option to keep him split or just straight up group and brute force right through.
See what they can get with this one then. The 9,000 gold lead, 11,000 gold lead rather, to do math properly. The mid lane siege is here. Cody going to the red buff means even more turret damage as well.
Yeah, you can be so confident to get turret damage on Caitlyn with double shields.
Yeah.
Walk right up. You have a lot of escape paths. They're going to swap between them depending on when the minion wave arrives.
I like this. A lot of damage here.
Dardoch actually
wild
taking
turtle.
too much.
Yeah, he's going to run out of HP a little bit, but the root is there, and they pick off Bjergsen
Totally.
right away through the Shen ult as well. The Caitlyn trap, Cody's son set it up nicely. There's a shockwave, not quite going to find Turtle, but Dardoch able to kite away safely, and that's bot lane inhibitor, plus the turret gone. Mid lane wave is here as well, and it's more for Immortals.
Oh yeah, once you're inside the base, definitely can call that one super duper successful. Bjergsen didn't even have time to ult there as he got snared up, and that is 2 inhibitors. Immortals once again coming out of the gates with a massive snowball game.
And they're really blasting this game open. 3 games in a row now. The 2 against FlyQuest, this one against TSM. Great early games. Dardoch this time around really being the key member for it. He wasn't as much in the FlyQuest series, but really he has done a lot of the heavy lifting individually himself. Still 12 out of 13 kill participation. Still 0 deaths on the Bruiser-ish Rengar. Some damage. Hanser forced the TP away, but it is an Immortals game through and through right now.
Yeah. I mean, salute to Cody's son. He had to be the sacrifice for a lot of the bottom lane plays where Dardoch got a bunch of his kills and they rotated down, but definitely well worth it for them.
And Immortals looking for a bit more worth to add to themselves right now. The 13,000 gold lead, not enough clearly. They want more. They're investing in top lane.
And these bush plays, these are the ones that are born of, we don't have many options. So TSM looking for one of the few options available. Oh, baby.
Pobelter checks over the wall and finds a Kha'Zix, and Kha'Zix is gone.
Honestly, no respect there from Spencer for the damage. You got flash. Didn't even attempt to jump either.
Nope.
Just like, you know what?
I'm dead.
I'm dead.
It's yours.
Go ahead.
5,000 gold power play. Immortals looking to close the game out in under 30 minutes. Top lane inhibitor turret gonna fall, and there's not a lot TSM can do about this. Immortals off of a stellar early game.
Both of the #1 teams in the NALCS showing some definite openings here as Cloud9 just goes down and TSM drops game #1. The Immortals with, again, one of the quickest games.
Push forward, looking for the comeback victory. Not going to find it yet. Bjergsen pushed out. Nice of TSM to try, but better of Immortals to kite back. The taunt's going to be a shockwave by him at a time, and Immortals, too many stats and too big a gold bag. The double kill right now already for Pobelter. 1 picked up as well for Flame, and that's going to be all she wrote. 4 for nothing, not even a problem. The triple kill for the mid laner, but the game is over, and Immortals take a very resounding Game 1 victory over TSM. 5-0-9 on Dardoch. He and Flame having a moment here, smiling and happy about how that game went. Let's see the damage graph. Dardoch, pretty high, 11,000 for him. Outdamaged anyone on TSM. Again, Deathless on the Assassins, very well played. 3 deathless members of an Immortals here, actually. It was only the poor Cody Sun and Flame who actually gave away some kills, and most of those were hyper-aggressive TSM dives.
Yeah, exactly. Those are the ones that started the snowball.
Yeah.
Formed it, packed it nice and hard, handed it to Dardoch and crew.
Smack them with it.
But yeah, honestly, I mean, we're still on another one of these eye-opening performances here for Immortals, where the first ones you're kind of getting them, riding them off a little bit, and you're like, all right, we need to see more consistency. Not ready to really move them up the ranks quite yet.
Right.
But this was impressive. Yeah, there were some mistakes by TSM to give them openings, but definitely credit for jumping on those. And man, that was a quick pace that they were able to keep.
Totally agree. And a win in this match puts Immortals in a tie for 4th, which is higher than many expected this lineup to be at. And we'll see if they can ride this one out. But for now, going to throw it over to Dash and our analyst to break down that Game 1 win from Immortals.
Thank you very much. Freaks C9 losing their match today. TSM dropping Game 1 so far in their series here against Immortals. What's going on in the North American LCS?
I mean, the CLG one, maybe you see it a little bit. We've seen them play up to the level of their opponents, but this one is like, what?
Well, it's just funny because at the beginning of the weekend, we're talking about how, top 5 looks pretty solidified. It's race for 6th. And then yesterday, we're like, okay, maybe it's actually race for, 4 through 6. And I know that TSM and Cloud9 are clinched into playoffs, but all of a sudden showing
race for first.
Yeah, showing some weakness, it just makes the playoff race and picture all that much more interesting. But let's go ahead and look at this Immortals victory, because as they put together a really nice 2-0 yesterday, they're on track so far to put together another dominating victory against TSM here. Just for some statistical references, a 4K gold lead at 10 minutes rather yesterday in one of their games. Today, 3.3K 10-minute gold lead. Both games, they jumped up to around a 7K gold lead to 15 minutes. So those are some of the largest leads we've seen so far this split in the North American LCS.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely insane. We saw, Team Liquid just on Friday against C9 had about a 2 to 3K gold lead at 10 minutes. They did nothing with it. Here, Immortals showing that they know how to expand their lead rapidly. They get a couple kills, they make a big team fight, and then next thing you know, they're mowing turrets down.
Right, and so much a part of the aggression and kind of the acceleration of the game for Immortals does come from Dardoch. And if we look at the stuff that he put together early on in the game, a big presence in terms of picking up some early kills here on the Rengar.
Right, this is just a slightly risky invade by Sven where they get too aggressive on the Dardoch. It was a nice idea, but Pobelter just basically ignores Bjergsen and falls up onto the extended Kha'Zix. And then here, very good read on what Sven wants to do. I mean, he just died. He's going to go back into his jungle somewhere. Dardoch, knowing he's the stronger champion, sits in the brush and waits for him. Those 2 quick kills sets Sven basically completely behind the rest of the game, never going to be able to face check the Rengar, and then the bot lane gets into a scrappy fight, and that's
we have it. Let's pull it up.
We may as well go, because it was like right after.
Right, I think that's a really interesting point though, where it's like heads-up play from Dardoch as well as Pobelter to get the early kill on Sven, but then return gank in a sense at Sven's Raptors, puts them well ahead. Sven trying to get himself back in the game here with a bot lane dive, ultimately going to go way in favor of Immortals.
Yeah, it was just slightly too slow. It gave enough time for the members of Immortals to start collapsing. The TP onto, the Kha'Zix, who was stuck, unfortunately, on a trap under the turret, couldn't get out. Then gives enough time for Dardoch to collapse. He's able to pick up a couple kills. Monster trying to find something else to do now that the one member that they were focusing down, the Caitlyn, died. But everyone else is basically at half health at least. So obviously, there's nothing else to do there. And then that was basically the game over at that point, which you don't always say for every team. So I think Immortals does deserve some credit for actually closing that out.
Oh, absolutely. Like we said, I mean, yesterday showing us that with these early leads, they can put the victories together and in a solid amount of time, right? They're not taking, another 40 to 50 minutes to close this one out slowly. They're taking that advantage that they've built. They're using it to go and grab the Baron. They're using the Baron to make sure they're knocking down multiple objectives and continuing to pick up objectives for themselves and make the map smaller for their opponents.
And you got to give TSM a little credit. I don't know if you want to give it to TSM or maybe hold it against Immortals, but Flame got picked off a little bit too much for how far ahead they were. Sometimes it was TSM getting to the play first when they were obviously going to play around Flame. Sometimes it was just him getting caught out. TSM's a good team. They showed that they're not, like, when Flyclass FlyQuest fell behind. They just kind of exploded.
Collapsed.
Yeah, TSM tried to do stuff, but they're at such a deficit that pretty much anything takes too long to do, giving Immortals time to collapse.
Right, there are absolutely some games where, hey, enough kills go over, and especially when you're looking into a full damage comp, Rengar, Karma, Rumble, Caitlyn, Ori, like if there's enough gold on that team, then it doesn't matter if you eliminate one player. There's enough AoE damage and DPS coming through that we can kind of steamroll games. So yeah, I do like the fact that TSM in certain places does have systems or ways of slowing down the pace of the game and even looking for picks to get back into it. It's definitely something you'd want to see out of a top-tier team.
Yep.
Not enough in this case, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so difficult to play from there. And like you said, with a full damage team comp, when you're not able to instantly blow them up with your Assassin Echo and your Shen's TPing in, I mean, against Karma Ori with a lot of speed ups in a Rengar, like, he's going to get there and punish that play, which is what happened on pretty much all those pick-off attempts that TSM had.
Very much so. Dominant game here out of Immortals. Dardoch picking up player of the game on the reign over. A very polarizing player, as we know. We've talked so much about, you know, when Dardoch gets an early lead, he himself sometimes has the potential to hand it right back, being too aggressive. This time around, being tempered in his aggression, deathless here, right? It was Flame, the one getting caught out. But overall, for this squad, I think that's going to be the next big jump for them. It's cool. If we can establish these leads, great. How do we hold on to them and make sure we don't put ourselves in situations where we might hand it back, throw a Baron, or something like that?
Right, because we're talking about like a 7K goalie at 15 minutes. What happens when it's a 2.5, a 3K goalie, and TSM is starting to get these pickoffs? I think that's a little concerning. Like, obviously, if you can get 7K gold leads every game, great. I don't think that's going to be the case. And you see how important it is that Dardoch's also emotionally invested in the game. You see, he was very happy after these ones. Probably was very happy after yesterday's win.
Yep.
And I think the thing that we keep saying about Immortals is consistency. Hopefully, they can keep getting early leads. Hopefully, Dardoch stays mentally engaged in the games. And then if they do not get the massive leads, just a small lead, hopefully we see them close it out.
And again, if they can pull it out over TSM here, a series that they probably weren't, or not, we ourselves are not expecting them to win, that's a huge boon to them in terms of getting into that playoff picture, right? They're right there on the cusp right now. Great win yesterday, a 2-0 week would do a lot in service of getting them into the playoffs in solid positioning. We'll see if TSM can even up the score when we come back. Their game 2 against Immortals is coming up right after the break.
Away from the stun, and Svenskeren on the chase flashes in for it, and they get the kill. Look at that dive inside of the TSM jungle. They know they have Hansu, who's going to take down Biofrost first, and Immortals able to capitalize. It was all a bait. Cody Sun, the mastermind, sets up the 4-kill trade. Has
TSM looking for one of the few options
And he's
available.
gone.
Oh, baby.
Oh. Shockwave 5 at a time, and Immortals, too many stats and too big a gold bag. The double kill right now already for Povelter. One picked up as well for Flame, and that's going to be all she wrote.